Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at a new beverage that's trying to make waves in a pretty classic industry. It's a lemon lime soda called Tyreek Soda LLC. We've been looking through their Kickstarter campaign page, and well, we're ready to unpack how an aspiring company like this uses crowdfunding. What's their vision, and what are the real practical challenges they face getting something like this off the ground?
That's right. And our mission today isn't just to, read off the page. We really want to dig into the strategy behind a launch like this one. So whether you're interested in entrepreneurship, maybe the food and beverage world, or you're just curious how new products actually come to be, this deep dive offers a pretty fascinating real-world glimpse into that whole journey, from just an idea to potentially something on a shelf near you.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the product itself. Tyreek Soda. They're pitching it as a next-gen lemon lime soda. The idea is fusing familiar flavor with a modern twist. And it's the brainchild of Tyreek Gaynor-Fray. What's their angle here? What makes it different, according to them?
Well, what really jumps out is how they're building the brand identity. They talk about Tyreek Soda being for bold refreshment seekers. That's the term they use. The aim seems to be combining a crisp, nostalgic taste, but with a fresh, modern identity. They emphasize things like clean design, cooler vibes, and a more thoughtful, culturally in-tune beverage experience.
Culturally in tune. That's interesting phrasing.
It is. And the creator seems to genuinely believe the whole soda industry is due for a shakeup. Their argument is that the big lemon lime sodas haven't really changed in decades. So Tyreek Soda wants to lead what they call a new category of modern soda, specifically targeting Gen Z and Millennials who are apparently looking for both flavor and identity in their drinks.
Yeah. That's a very specific demographic focus. Makes you think about their wider marketing plan beyond just this Kickstarter. And speaking of the Kickstarter, that's how they're trying to fund this whole thing. For anyone not familiar, Kickstarter connects creators with backers. It uses that all-or-nothing funding model, which means basically if they don't reach their goal by the deadline, nobody gets charged.
Exactly. It's a safety net for backers, in a way.
So looking at the source material, their goal is $35,000. Right now, they've pledged $19,370, so a bit over halfway. Only 8 backers so far, though, but they still have 57 days to go. The deadline is Thursday, September 25th, 2025.
And it's worth mentioning, Kickstarter isn't just a place to ask for money. They provide a lot of resources for creators. Things like a creator handbook, FAQs, tips, even help with fulfillment later on. These tools can be pretty crucial for entrepreneurs navigating this for the first time.
Right. So, okay, moving beyond just the fundraising part. What really struck me was the incredibly detailed timeline they laid out. It's phased, stretches from Q3 2025 all the way through mid-2026. I mean, that's just some serious planning, especially for a physical product launch.
It really does. That level of detail, planning quarter by quarter for over a year. It's ambitious for a startup. It shows they have a vision, but wow, it also highlights just how complex and capital-intensive launching a beverage is compared to, say, an app. They break down these steps to achieve the vision by quarter. So for Q3 2025, which they call launch readiness,
Okay.
that involves finalizing the soda recipe, not just taste, but carbonation too, completing the can design, the visual identity, also securing a small batch manufacturer and a fulfillment partner, creating the website, social media plans, sample kits, promo videos, basically getting everything lined up, finalizing the recipe, and nailing down a manufacturer in the same quarter.
Yeah, that sounds tight. A lot could potentially slip there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Real-world production hurdles often shift timelines dramatically. Many startups find that out the hard way.
Okay, so after Q3 prep, what's next?
Well, Q4 2025 is focused on the crowdfunding campaign and production prep. The plan is to actually launch the Kickstarter, or maybe Indiegogo too, in October. Then finalize reward packages, confirm the production timeline in November, and by December, assuming the funding comes through, order the actual cans, ingredients, and any merchandise.
Got it. So the funding outcome is key there.
Definitely. The Q1 2026 is all about production and fulfillment. The target is making and packaging that first run, 10,000 cans, plus assembling and shipping the rewards to backers, launching direct-to-consumer sales from their own website, and even starting small-scale retail and vending machine placements. They also mentioned dropping limited-time flavors and starting work on flavor number 2 based on feedback in this quarter.
Wow, okay. That's a busy quarter.
Very. And finally, late Q1 through Q2 2026 is post-campaign sales. So continuing website sales, doing pop-ups and events, building more retail connections and influencer collaborations.
That is an incredibly detailed plan. It seems like they've thought through a lot of steps. But like you said, timelines can slip. What's typically the absolute hardest part to keep on track for a physical product like this? And given all these steps, what kind of money are they actually asking for? How does that $35,000 break down?
For a new beverage, I'd say nailing down consistent quality manufacturing and then figuring out distribution. Those are often the biggest sticking points on the roadmap. Small batch production can be unpredictable. As for the money, that $35,000 goal, they provided a detailed budget. The biggest single chunk, $13,000, so over a third, is just for producing those first 10,000 cans.
Okay.
Then $4,000 for can packaging and labels, $5,000 for backer rewards and shipping them out, $6,000 is budgeted for marketing, promotions, working with influencers. Fulfillment services get $3,000, legal, licensing, business fees, another $2,000. And importantly, they have a $2,000 line item for contingency and overages, which they calculate as 5%. Add it all up, and it's exactly $35,000.
That breakdown is helpful, that 13K for 10,000 cans.
Yeah, it likely means a pretty high cost per can initially, which puts pressure on their pricing strategy right out of the gate. And that 5% contingency. Honestly, for a physical product with supply chain risks, regulatory stuff, that often feels really slim. It just underlines how lean these direct-to-consumer beverage startups have to operate.
That level of detail is impressive, definitely. But it also brings us to the inevitable question. What could go wrong? It's actually good they're upfront about it, dedicating a whole section to risks and challenges on their campaign page. Transparency is key in crowdfunding.
Absolutely. It builds trust. So they identify several key risks and talk about how they plan to tackle them. First up, market competition. No surprise there. They state the obvious. The soda market is filled with big-name brands and countless niche competitors.
Understatement of the year, maybe.
Right. Their strategy is differentiation, focusing on that crisp lemon-lime flavor with a clean, modern twist, bold branding, and a fresh voice for a younger, maybe more health-aware audience. The plan is start small, build a strong community, and grow with intention. Now, while that sounds good, the real challenge is how hard it is to actually differentiate in such a saturated market. Just having a clean design or a modern twist often isn't enough on its own. It takes more than that.
That's a really important point. What about health concerns? That seems huge these days, especially if they're targeting that younger, health-conscious crowd.
Exactly. That's their second risk, health and ingredient concerns. They acknowledge people are watching what they consume, avoiding sugary artificial sodas. So, Tyreek is apparently being developed with a clean ingredient list. They're exploring lower sugar or naturally sweetened options. But they also stress trying to maintain taste, and that transparency is key. This whole clean label thing, we've seen it everywhere in food and bev for years now. It's almost table stakes for reaching Gen Z.
True. What else?
Then there's production and fulfillment. They know making and shipping drinks has logistical complexity and potential for delays. Their mitigation plan involves building relationships with reliable co-packers, those are the folks who actually make the soda for them, and suppliers, and planning for those initial runs to be limited and tightly managed for quality control.
Makes sense. And beyond just making it, you mentioned regulations earlier. From your experience, which common challenge tends to catch new beverage companies off guard the most? Why?
That's a great question. Regulatory compliance is another risk they list, and honestly, it's often one of the most underestimated hurdles and potentially costly. Food and beverage products have to meet really strict health and safety rules. Their solution is working with consultants who specialize in FDA and state-level regulations. They want to ensure everything from formulation to labeling meets the highest standards. But this is an area where unexpected delays and costs can really bite if you haven't planned meticulously.
Right, the fine print can get you.
For sure. Finally, they touch on financial risks. Launching takes money, careful planning. There can always be delays or unexpected costs. The campaign page basically says that backer support helps us stay lean, focused, and ready to bring Tyreek to market without cutting corners. So overall, it's a pretty comprehensive look at the potential pitfalls. The real test, of course, is navigating them in the real world.
So wrapping this up, the journey of Tyreek Soda, as laid out here, is really a textbook example of modern entrepreneurship, isn't it? Using crowdfunding, planning meticulously from the recipe all the way to shipping, and being transparent about the big hurdles in a really tough market. It's just a fascinating snapshot of trying to turn an idea into something real in the crowded beverage world.
It absolutely is. And it leaves us with something interesting for you, the listener, to think about. Beyond just the soda itself, what does it really take for a new brand like this to capture attention and, more importantly, loyalty in today's market? especially when you're targeting specific groups like Gen Z and Millennials, whose preferences around health and identity are always evolving. And how might building that strong community, which Tyreek says they want to do, play a genuinely different, maybe more powerful role than just traditional advertising in achieving long-term success? Something to ponder.